Welcome to pre-algebra graphing using slope-intercept form. We will review standard and slope-intercept form today to begin with. First one, standard form is in the form ax plus by equals c, where a is the constant coefficient on the linear term, b is the constant coefficient on the y term, and c is the constant. Moving on. Reviewing slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. M is the slope, and b is the y-intercept. And just as a reminder, the y-intercept is the point where the graph crosses the y-axis. We will begin with a quick review of finding slope and y-intercept. Beginning with our first equation, y equals 2x minus 5. The y-intercept is the constant term, so that is negative 5. The slope is the coefficient on the linear term, which is 2. We can write the slope in two forms. We could say that's 2 over 1, or we could say it is negative 2 over negative 1. That will be very useful to know when we start our graphing portion. Our second equation, y equals negative 3x plus 4. The y-intercept is 4. The slope is negative 3. Once again, writing it as negative 3 over 1 or positive 3 over negative 1. Moving on to the next one, y equals 4. This is one that you should recognize right away. The slope is missing. The x term, the linear term, is missing. So therefore, this is 0. You should also recognize that this will be a horizontal line when you are graphing this. The y-intercept will be at 4. Which leads us directly to the next problem. X equals negative 3, as we've talked about previously. Since the y is missing, we recognize that this is going to have an undefined slope. An undefined means that this line is going to be a vertical line. And it is possible that we could have a y-intercept, but in this case, it's going to be crossing the x at negative 3, so I do not have a y-intercept. Our last one we will be talking about today, you'll notice this is not in slope-intercept form. So this one we will be coming back to take a look at after we've talked about the next few. Going on to our first problem. I'd like you to graph the linear equation y plus 6x equals 4. We have a little bit of difficulty from the other day because I cannot pick out the y-intercept and the slope because it's not in slope-intercept form. So I'll start by rewriting the equation 6x, y plus 6x equals 4. And I need to get it in slope-intercept form. I need to get this y all by itself. So I'll subtract 6x from both sides. On the left-hand side, I'm left with y. On the right-hand side, I have two different terms, so I have to rewrite them individually. Negative 6x plus 4. Now I have it in slope-intercept form. I always like to pick off the y-intercept first, because that's what I will start with when I graph. The y-intercept is 4, so I come over to the y-axis and I put a point at positive 4. Now I will write the slope. The slope is negative 6 over 1 or positive 6 over negative 1. I will use both of these to be able to graph two more points. Starting at the y-intercept, I will go down 6 units and I will move to the right 1 unit because it's positive. On this one, I will go up 6 units because it is positive, and then I will move to the left 1 unit because it is negative. I now have my 3 points, and I am able to draw my line in. I have just graphed this linear equation by taking it out of standard form, placing it into y-intercept form, and finding my y-intercept and slope. Moving on to the next one, I have x equals y minus 4. Once again, this is not in slope-intercept form, so I need to get the y all by itself. This time the y is on the right-hand side. I will be moving the constant term by adding plus 4 to both sides. I have x plus 4 is equal to y. My y-intercept is 4. Just like the last one, I'll put my dot at the 4 on the y-axis, and then my slope is 1, which can be written as 1 over 1 or negative 1 over negative 1. This slope is positive. I start with my y-intercept, move up 1 unit, and to the right 1 unit. I can start at my y-intercept, go down 1 unit, and then to the left 1 unit, and I have my 3 points. I can now graph that line. Moving on to our next example. I have the equation 16 plus 8y equals negative 4x. Once again, I have to get that y all by itself. But this time it has an 8 attached to it, so I'll have to do a little bit more work to be able to do that. But it starts out just like previously. I need to move that 16, the constant, so I will be subtracting 16 from both sides. I end up with 8y is equal to negative 4x minus 16. Once again, I need to get y by itself, but it's being multiplied by 8. So, to show this step clearly, I'm going to rewrite the equation. In order to undo multiplication, I will divide every term by 8. On the left-hand side, the 8 cancels, y equals. On the linear term, the negative 4a simplifies to negative 1/2 x, and the constant term will simplify to minus 2. My y-intercept is negative 2. I place a point on negative 2. My slope is negative 1 over 2 or positive 1 over negative 2. Using the negative 1 over 2, I drop 1 down, and then I will move 2 to the right. Going back to my y-intercept, I'll move up 1 and then to the right, to the left to be able to use my last slope of 1 over negative 2. I now have my 3 points, and I will draw my line in. Moving on to our next example. Graphing the linear equation, 0 equals y minus 2x plus 8. Again, I have to get this y all by itself. I will move the constant first by subtracting 8 from both sides. Minus 8 is equal to y minus 2x. I need to move the linear term, so I will be adding 2x to both sides. 2x minus 8 is equal to y. Now I have my y-intercept and my slope. My y-intercept is at negative 8. I'll come over here to the y-axis, put my y-intercept down at negative 8. My slope is 2, which can be rewritten as 2 over 1 or negative 2 over negative 1. Moving on to my y-intercept at negative 8, I go up 2 units to the right 1 unit. And I can go up 2 units to the right 1 unit. You'll notice this time the only slope format I used was the positive 2 over the positive 1. I could use the negative 2 over negative 1 by going down 2 units and to the left. I have my point, and I draw my line in. With that concludes the portion of our examples with graphing and using slope-intercept. So I'd like to go back to our chart. If I'm looking at this last problem right here, 4x minus 1 plus y, most everyone should recognize that in order to find the y-intercept and the slope, I need to put this in slope-intercept form. I would subtract 4x from both sides. So I'd have negative 1 plus y equals negative 4x. I would add 1 to both sides. So y is equal to negative 4x plus 1. Now that I have it in slope-intercept form, I can easily pick off my y-intercept of 1 and my slope of negative 4, which can be rewritten as negative 4 over 1 or positive 4 over negative 1. That concludes our session on slope-intercept form and graphing. Thank you for listening.